Stop chasing. They choose you. If these words are reaching you right now, it's because on some level, you're done with the version of yourself who begs for crumbs, who overthinks every text, who waits around for signs and tiny bits of attention, and you're finally ready to embody the version of you who knows deeply and quietly, I am the prize. And of course, they choose me. You're not here by coincidence, and you're not hearing this too late. You're hearing it at the exact moment when your old self-concept is cracking, when the identity of the one who chases, who waits, who hopes, feels too tight, too painful, too small for who you actually are. And that discomfort, that heavy feeling in your chest, that exhaustion of consuming endless content on SP and still feeling stuck is the sign that your inner reality is already rearranging itself in your favor, already calling you into a new state where they regret not talking to you sooner, where they feel your absence, where they notice that something about you is different, stronger, calmer. Right now, as you listen, imagine them your specific person, that one person you care about, thinking about you in this very moment, replaying old conversations, old memories, maybe even old arguments, and suddenly noticing that the energy they used to feel from you is different. Noticing that the version of you who used to chase, overgive, and over-explain is simply not there anymore because you have quietly, internally, stepped into a new concept of yourself, and that change in how you see you is exactly what makes them feel the change in your worth. This is the paradox Neville Goddard pointed to over and over again. You don't get chosen by chasing, by pushing, by trying to convince them of your value. You get chosen by assuming and embodying that you already are the one they choose, by living from the end where you are loved, wanted, prioritized, and important. And the moment you genuinely start to feel that even in a subtle, almost fragile way, they start to feel a loss. They start to notice the gap. They start to regret not having you in their life the way they could have. For a long time, you may have been living in the state of, they are the prize, I have to win them. I have to do something right so they'll finally see my value. And from that state, every action, every text, every call, every little update you posted and secretly hoped they'd notice carried the vibration of please choose me. And energetically, that made them the selector and you the one auditioning. But what you're doing now, by simply listening from a different place, by breathing a little deeper, by allowing yourself to imagine them chasing you for a change, is stepping into the opposite role. You as the operant power. You as the one who decides who you are to them. Notice what happens in your body when you hear this. They regret ignoring you. They regret not choosing you sooner. They feel the loss of your attention now. If that lands even a little, it's because some part of you already knows you were overgiving, already knows you were showing up as if they were the sun and you were trying to earn a small bit of warmth. And that version of you is tired. That version of you is done. And this moment is your invitation to stop identifying with that old role and to step into something entirely different. Think about how many times you have heard about living in the end, about the wish fulfilled, about self-concept. And you nodded your head and said, I get it. And then the second your specific person didn't text, or they were cold, or they pulled away, you collapse back into, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not chosen? And I want you to see that pattern clearly, not as failure, not as proof that you're broken, but as a well-rehearsed identity, a familiar state in which you were always the one chasing and they were always the one deciding. Today's golden nugget is simple and powerful. The moment you stop assigning them the role of the prize and assign that role to yourself, the movie changes. The entire script between you and them begins to rewrite itself because you are no longer standing outside of your own life, pressing your face against the glass and hoping they'll let you in. You are inside. You belong here. You are the one who is chosen. And from that position, their behavior, their texts, their calls, their attention start to line up with who you are being. Let this really sink in. They feel the shift when you stop chasing them internally, when you stop rehearsing conversations in your mind where you justify yourself, explain yourself, or try to win them over, and instead You start rehearsing conversations where you are calm, grounded, loved, certain, where they are the ones pursuing, apologizing, appreciating you. Because your imagination is not a place where you escape reality. It is the engine that produces your reality. And when you upgrade your dominant inner conversations, they can't help but feel that as a change in your worth. Picture this for a moment. They go about their day, maybe scrolling on their phone, maybe at work, maybe with other people. And suddenly, the energy they used to feel from you, the clinginess, the availability, the anxious checking in is gone. And in its place, there is a sense of distance, of self-possession, of quiet strength. And they catch themselves wondering, why haven't I heard from them? What are they doing? Did I misjudge them? Did I underestimate them? And it's not because you're trying to play hard to get. It's not a tactic. It's because you have actually walked into a new identity where your presence is a privilege, where your attention is precious, where you are the one who is chosen. Neville said your only job is to occupy the state of the wish fulfilled. And that wish, for most of you, is not just a text, not just a call, not even just a relationship label. The deeper wish is to feel secure, to feel chosen, to feel like you matter. And when you start living from the version of you who already feels secure and chosen, before any evidence, before any apology, before any confession, they are drawn almost magnetically to that state, because people in your reality can only reflect back who you believe you are. So if up until now, you've been the one always reaching out first, checking their last scene, analyzing every word, replaying every moment you felt rejected or ignored, understand that you are simply practicing the state of, I am not enough yet. I am not chosen yet. And you can decide right here, in this moment, to step out of that role, not by pretending you don't care, not by forcing yourself into cold detachment, but by upgrading the role you play in your own story, from the one who waits to the one who is waited for. You made the inner transformation the instant you chose to see yourself differently in relation to them, even if it feels subtle, even if part of you still wants to cling to the old story, because embodiment doesn't mean you never feel doubt again. Embodiment means you keep coming back again and again to the assumption that you are loved and chosen, that your presence is magnetic, that you are special. And you let that assumption grow louder and steadier than the old narrative that said you were not enough. Look back at the older version of you, the one who might have lowered standards, chased, begged, accepted mixed signals, prayed for bare minimum effort, and meet that version of you with compassion, not shame, because that self was doing the best they could with the identity they had. Now, you are stepping into a version of you who does not audition, who does not shrink, who does not need to prove anything just to be good enough. And if this specific person does not rise to meet that, from a calm and powerful place, that someone else will. When you live from that quiet certainty, they feel it. They feel that they cannot treat you the way they used to. They feel that they no longer have guaranteed access to your energy. And that is when regret begins to surface. That is when their mind replays, how did I not see their value? Why didn't I choose them when I had the chance? Because your new self-concept demands a different reaction. And although it can take a little time for the physical world to fully reorganize, you will start to notice small, undeniable signs, shifts in their tone, unexpected messages, new levels of respect that mirror the shift you've made within. As you hear these words, gently pull back all of the energy you've been sending outward, trying to control their responses, trying to decode their behavior, trying to feel worthy only when they show up, and bring that energy back into yourself, into your chest, into your center, and say inwardly, I am the one they are lucky to know. I am the one they think about when it's quiet. I am the one they regret losing, not as a desperate plea, but as a calm decision about who you are now. You wore the shoes of the chaser for a long time, and now you are slipping into the shoes of the one who is chosen, who is valued, who is adored. And those shoes may feel unfamiliar at first. They may feel too big. but keep walking in them through your thoughts, through your self-talk, through your daily choices, and soon they will feel natural, inevitable, obvious, and when they finally reach out, when they finally confess, when they finally say, I should have treated you better, it will feel like the most normal reflection of who you have already been inside. Let this be your turning point. From this moment forward, you do not need to prove your worth to them. You do not need to chase. You do not need to monitor or obsess. Your only role is to remember who you are in relation to them, to hold yourself as the one who is chosen, the one who is valued, the one they are drawn back to. And as you hold that state with patience, with kindness toward yourself, the outer world will adjust. They will feel the shift. They will feel the loss. And they will move closer, not because you forced them to, but because you finally embodied the simple truth. You are the prize. And of course, they chase you. I hope this message has given you a deeper insight. Subscribe, and I'll meet you again soon with another golden nugget. Happy manifesting.